I'm Mary Burke Kelly. I'm a teacher for Acutonics. I'm located here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I teach all my classes on Zoom. And what I'd like to show you today is something called step-down grounding that uses all the ohm forks, the high frequency ohm, the mid ohm, and the low ohm. And it's a technique that was demonstrated and taught to me by Donna Carey when I was a level 2 student. A lot of times we teach our level 2 students this form of grounding. So first off, when would you want to use step down grounding? Well, step down grounding is something that you would want to use if your client is super relaxed and they're off in a completely different state of consciousness, and you want to bring them in very slowly rather than bring them in rapidly with some lows that can be low ohms that can be very disorienting for someone who is in another state of consciousness. So as per time that you might want to use step down grounding is going to be after using a lot of high frequency. In the level 2 Acutonics class, everybody gets a chance to give and receive sacred geometry that's done with an entire octave of all the high frequency tuning forks. So after something like that, there's all that the etheric body is being treated so much, it's really good to do a step down grounding after something of that nature. You can also use step down grounding after any type of very, let's say, profound treatment. Anytime you want to bring someone in from the field into their body and then ground them to earth in a slow manner rather than in a faster manner. I'm going to be using just basically 3 different points in my grounding. On this, I'm going to assume that, I've already treated this person when they were face down. I've done their posterior first. Now I've turned them over. I've done the rest of the session. And so I'm showing you grounding that would take place at the end of your session. So I'm going to show this on the anterior or the front of the body. 3 acupuncture points that I'm going to be using for grounding are going to be Ren 4, Origins Pass, Kidney 3, Great Ravine, and Kidney 1, Gushing Spring. I like to start my grounding in the on the body, more at the core of the body, and then work my way down. It's always nice when you're starting out with Acutonics and you're still locating points to put the tuning forks on. If you use some stickers to go ahead and locate your points first and get that part of it done, and then that way you can just kind of flow with the tuning forks when you're actually applying them. And especially when you're starting out, if you're practicing on friends and relatives, you can just say, hey, I'm going to mark these locations first, and then we'll start our session. As far as marking acupuncture points, you could just go to any office supply store and get notebook reinforcements. You can get the white ones. They actually show up a lot, very well on Zoom. You can get colored ones. You can get them in the school supply section of most stores, and you can get them in the office supply section, and they're just notebook reinforcement stickers. Self-adhesive. The first point that I'm going to use is Ren 4 or Origins Pass. That's going to be 4 of your client's finger widths below their navel. So you can have, if your client is awake, at some point you can have them point to their navel, and then you can have them put 4 of their finger widths underneath that. And directly underneath that will be Ren 4. But what if your client is asleep, which this is what we're talking about here? Well, if your client is asleep, everything is proportional. So you can go to their hand, and while they're sleeping, you can put your hand over it. And I can see that 4 of his finger widths is really going to be 5 of mine. So while they're sleeping at this point, this is why we're doing step down grounding. All right, then you would go ahead and put 4 of mine and then 1 more. And that is going to be where his Ren 4 Origins Pass is going to be. The second point that I'm going to use for grounding is going to be kidney 3 or Great Ravine. This is located on the inside foot between the inside malleolus or ankle bone and the Achilles tendon, and it's called Great Ravine. You don't have to worry. Some people have a indentation in between their ankle bone and their Achilles tendon, and other people do not, depending upon if they're retaining water or any of that. But everybody has that source point for the kidney. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mark that with one of our stickers as to where we're going to apply the tuning forks on grounding. And then you would do the same thing on the other side, because they have one on the left and one on the right. We're going to treat both sides. Okay, so the last grounding point is going to be kidney number 1, or gushing spring, where the yin of the earth comes up into the bottom of our feet, connects us with the earth chakra, one of the most important grounding points. And that's located on the bottom of the foot, where you have your ball of your foot. There's an indentation. If they curl their toes, you can find it, but it's pretty easy to find. So that's gushing spring, and that's our last point that we need to find for this grounding. Okay, so now that you've marked all your points, now it's time to apply the forks, and this is the technique of the step down grounding. When you're first starting out or learning a new routine, it's nice to lay out your forks in the order that you're going to use them. So we're going to be using these, starting with the 2 high frequency ohms, and then we'll be using the mid ohms, and then we'll be using low ohms. And if you don't have a second low ohm, that's fine. You can end with, the low ohm that you have, but if you have 2 of them, this is going to be the sequence that we're going to work down, and you could lay them out to make it faster and easier for you when you're learning. Okay, so we're going to start with high frequency ohm number 1 and number 2. Those are your 2 high frequency ohms, and you're going to go ahead and activate the longer one, which is lower first, and then the shorter one, which is higher. And we're just going to sweep from the head area or above the head area of the fields down the body, bringing in, basically grounding the etheric field and the non-physical field. So in the step down, they're already out in some sort of field somewhere, okay, because they're in a different state of consciousness. So we're going to start out in the fields, and we're going to sweep down from head to foot, kind of bringing that grounding and rooting energy from the top of the head and the fields, and we're doing the entire fields and bringing it down to the below the foot area. And you could do that. Normally you can do this, 1 time or 2 times, however you feel you want to do it. You don't have to do as many iterations in a technique like this, because we're using ohm. We're just using different octaves of ohm. So now you're going to put down the shortest and the highest high frequency ohm, which is high frequency ohm number 2. And you're going to pick up a mid ohm fork. So now what we have is our second step is to use the high frequency ohm number 1 with the mid ohm fork. And so what are we doing here? Now we're starting to ground and unite the etheric layers, the etheric body, the non-physical body grounding. We're going to start bringing it into the physical body, since that mid ohm has, you know, the head on it. Some of you guys call it foot. I think it looks like a little head, whatever you want to call it. If you're doing this on a Zoom thing and you have a mic, normally, you know, a person who's in person session is hearing all these. It's always nice to go ahead and play the next interval into the mic. They've already easily heard the 2 high frequencies, but it's nice to put the 2 in the mic so that the person on the other end of a Zoom distance Acutonics session hears that. And so we're going to do some sweeping first, bringing that lower octave ohm into the field. Again, we sweep from above the head down the body, bringing it through the field, starting to bring in that vibration of ohm that's going to be physical. And we're grounding the physical and the non-physical here together. And then you're going to take that mid ohm and you're going to go ahead and you're going to, you strike the ohm with the head first and then the high frequency because it's lower. And you can go ahead and you can put the mid ohm on Ren 4 Origins Pass, and you can go ahead and point the high frequency ohm downward and kind of circle that mid ohm. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and you can put the stem of the high frequency ohm on the yoni or the U part of that mid ohm, and it's going to go right down the stem and unite the physical with the non-physical in grounding, but you're not actually touching the body with the high frequency ohm. And then you would go ahead and go on down. You're going to lead the ohm down the body, and you're going to go ahead and put the mid ohm on one of the kidney 3s. And again, you can circle the head of the mid ohm with the high frequency ohm, and then you can put it on the yoni, let it run down the stem into the 1 kidney 3 great ravine. And then you would go ahead and you would do the same thing on the other kidney 3. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put down the high frequency ohm, and we're going to pick up the other mid ohm. So now we have mid ohm unison. And we're going to go ahead and activate those. And once again, we're grounding the field with this mid ohm unison. And then you're going to go ahead and put these 2 mid ohms down here on Ren 4 Origins Pass. You'll wait for the energy, the vibration to almost dissipate out of the tuning forks. And then when they do, you're going to go ahead and split the forks. And now we're completely physical. Now we're completely physical, but we're going to lead it down the body. We're going to put 1 on Ren 4. We're going to put another 1 down here on the kidney 3, Great Ravine. And we're leading it down from the core of the body, from the origins pass, where the original chi can be accessed. And you're going to do the same thing on the other foot. So we put the mid-ohm on origins pass, Ren 4, and put the other mid-ohm on the other kidney 3 next to that ankle. And we're leading it down the body. Go ahead and you can activate the 2 mid-ohm unisons and put both of them on the kidney 3, great ravine. So now first got 1, all right, fork, now it's getting 2, which really reinforces the more immediate, physical grounding. And do the same thing, put both mid-ohms on the other kidney 3 on the other foot. So now you're going to take your mid-ohms and split them and take 1 mid-ohm fork and apply it to kidney 3 and put the other mid-ohm fork on kidney 1, and you'll do that on both sides. And once you have both sides done, then you'll bring both mid-ohms or mid-ohm unison down to kidney 1, and you'll finish this interval set. The next step is you put down one of the mid-ohm forks and you pick up a low ohm. And now what we're going to do is we're going to ground with low ohm octaves. So here you're talking about a low ohm with a mid ohm. And there's an entire octave in between there. And with all those little 7 spaces between these 2 tuning forks, that allows for a more comfortable shift, a greater shift into grounding, and more comfortable shift. Activate the low ohm first. The longer of the 2 is always lower, and then the mid to get your ohm octave. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to sweep. Again, starting above the head, working down the body, putting this low ohm octave, in the field, and grounding that before we come down on to Ren 4 origins pass. You can reactivate, put both those forks gently down there on origins pass. Wait for the vibration to almost dissipate out of the tuning forks. Now we can go ahead and we can split our forks. And this time we're going to put the mid-ohm on origins pass and take that vibrating low ohm and put it down on kidney 3, great ravine. So you can see again, we're leading the ohm down the body, but we're putting the low one down here on the foot this time. You can do the same thing. Again, mid-ohm on the Ren 4 and put your low ohm on the other foot, the foot's kidney 3. Okay, so now we're going to put the whole interval onto kidney 3. So we put the low ohm and the mid-ohm on kidney 3, giving that kidney source point an entire octave of lower ohm, more physical but comfortable, deeper grounding, and can be a little faster grounding. That's why we didn't start out with this. We didn't start out with it because the person was in the hinterlands somewhere. And so we're bringing them, grounding them step by step from the etheric field into the physical field, and then doing the deeper grounding now. So now you're going to split your forks again, and you can put the mid-ohm on kidney 3 where you've been, and you can go ahead and put that low ohm down there on kidney 1, gushing spring, and wait for the vibration to dissipate. And then you'll do the other side as well. The mid ohm is going on kidney 3, and the low ohm is going to go on kidney 1, gushing spring. So now we're taking this low ohm and we're starting to have a very deep grounding into the roots of the earth, into the earth chakra for the person. And when you're done splitting the forks, then you're going to put the full octave onto the bottom of the foot, kidney 1. The ohms, the ohm octave, and put the whole interval onto the 1, kidney 1, and then put the whole interval once this dissipates. You're going to reactivate and put the whole interval, the low ohm octave, on down there on the other kidney 1. If you would like to and you're got a lot of Libra on your chart, you could split the forks and put 1 each down there and then switch them and put another each down there. If you own another low ohm, you can add an additional step to this. So if you have 2 low ohms, you can put down the mid ohm, and now we have low ohm unison, which will be a really, really deep grounding after doing a lot of work. We're going to put that deep low ohm unison. Makes it pretty powerful in the field first from head to toe. And then you can go ahead, you can either start on the Ren 4 and split them out if you've got time and your client has time. Go ahead and split these out from Ren 4. So now we're doing our final grounding. If we've got 2 low ohms, we're going from Origins Pass down to kidney 3 on the one side, and we'll do it again. We'll do Origins Pass down to kidney 3 on the other side. Put 2 low ohms together on the one kidney 3. Put 2 low ohms on the other kidney 3. And you can come down here to the feet and you can split the ohms again. So now I've got 1 low on kidney 3, 1 low on kidney 1, leading the very low, deep grounding, connecting your client to the earth with very low, deep grounding. And then we come down to the bottom to kidney 1, gushing spring. You can put one fork on each foot and put 2 low ohms, low ohm unison on one foot, low ohm unison on the other foot. It doesn't really matter when you get down here whether you put, the 2 low ohms on first each foot, and then if you like to end it with 1 low ohm on each foot, you can do it that way. way. The point here is that we've gone from very high frequency grounding step by step all the way down through all the octaves in order to bring the person in from a state of being really relaxed and bring them step by step, little gentle steps for a very deep grounding. That you can work on when you're a new student. It's something that you might have to get used to, but it's a really good technique to learn when you're grounding at the end of a session. And if the person is, really relaxed or really in an altered state of consciousness, instead of startling them when we come down on kidney 1 gushing spring, there's a way of holding the forks. Particularly it's easier on the large forks to go ahead and flip the forks. So in other words, you normally hold the tuning forks like this with your thumb and your forefinger on that yoni, and instead what you'll do is you'll activate the forks and turn them over. Okay, so you're flipping them over almost like a gunslinger. That is a gunslinger where you're like this normally and then you flip like that. Okay, and then what you can do is stick that index finger out a little bit further than the end of your tuning fork, and so the human is going to feel a warm finger come down there. Happen if you can flip them like that and extend your finger, the human will feel a warm finger, and they won't jump because they won't feel like cold metal or something weird on the bottom of their sensitive foot. So they feel a warm human touch right before those vibrating tuning forks go on to those feet. And you can do it. It's just a technique that you can practice, and as you go along, it's just like a lot nicer when they're relaxed and at the end of a session. If the person seems really gone, I end up with too low ohms on them. The other thing that you can do is, even if you're just using octave, you can go ahead and ground the person to the floor by putting the mid ohm on the foot, and you go ahead and you can put the low ohm onto the ground, onto the whatever the ground is under your table. This definitely grounds them into the earth and works really well if you want to do some additional grounding. What some people do is they go ahead and they put 1 ohm on gushing spring kid 1, and they go ahead and ground to the underside of the table. You can't really see, but like you just go ahead and you can put it on the wood underneath if you've got a wooden or whatever kind of table you have. You can either put the second fork down onto the ground, or you can put the second fork under the table. It will vibrate the whole table. This happens to be a wooden table, so that works pretty well. I can feel the table vibrating. So you can do additional grounding like that, or like I said, you can do additional grounding, put one on gushing spring and the other one right on the ground. Now, for the purposes of camera angles, sometimes I'm coming at the feet like this from the side, or whatever. And when you first learn grounding, a lot of times students have a tendency to, lean over the feet like this. Um, if you can get in the habit of standing at the bottom of your client so that your heart is connected with their heart when you're grounding, at the very end on the like kidney 1 area, that's the better way to do it. It's just nicer to be heart to heart as you're ending, rather than be to the side where your heart is turned away from your client. When you have other instruments available, like a drum, or a grounding bowl, or a bowl that's close to in its harmonics, C sharp, somewhere in there, it's nice to give a full harmonic grounding towards the end. And so one of the things you can do is you can alternate, like you're here at the bottom and you're putting your tuning forks on the feet, and what I do is I alternate. When I get down here to Gushing Spring, I'll put some tuning forks on, and then I go ahead and do the drum. And see, this is down by their feet, so this drum is, got a big tree trunk, and so it's very grounding. The sound is grounding. It's kind of bringing them in from their other state of consciousness. They, start coming more into the body. And you can also alternate that with a bowl that is either, in between the feet or on the floor. So my grounding for my clients at the end is kind of a harmonic combination of a bowl, or several bowls, and the drum and the tuning forks. So you can combine all these, and usually down here on gushing spring, and I'll let that go in. So you get the idea. The main point here is that you're using whatever ohm forks that you have to ground at the very end, even if it's at the end of a step down grounding. And then you can add the bowl and the drum, and it makes a really nice ending to a session.